Spider-Man, Spider-Man, does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thieves, just...
What's up, my learners? My name is Seba Reviews, and welcome to another episode of Seba Reviews. Today, we are reviewing one of the most anticipated films, if not the most anticipated film for many people out there. I'm talking, of course, the latest installment of their friendly neighborhood web crawler, Spider-Man: No Way Home. I will admit that I was not excited for this movie for quite a while. Why, do you ask? Ever since his Spider-Man came to be, I haven't been a fan of how he has been portrayed so far. He's this super anxious, nervous Peter Parker that in hindsight is pretty cool and relatable, but wasn't working for me for the most part. My real problems with him are just how he hasn't been his own hero yet. He's always been in the shadows of other heroes and hasn't been his own self. He's not the superhero that we love. And his films have been so MCU heavy that, for myself, it hasn't felt like we had a proper solo Spider-Man story. And although these movies have been very funny, I kind of wanted to tone it down and find that balance. I just haven't felt like Tom Holland is Spider-Man. Actually, for more of my opinions on this current version of Spider-Man, check out this episode of my podcast where we delve deeper on this version. But what have been my apprehensions of this film? That it would be another MCU heavy flick. But now we're doing multiversal stuff. Throwing multiple characters, having another mentor figure by the looks of what Doctor Strange was gonna be, or kind of looked like it was gonna be. And also dealing with what we left off in the last film, which is a big deal, and just throw that aside. I just felt this film could be a giant, overstuffed mess. Make this trilogy into crazy tentpole films that don't focus on who we came here for. And instead of making a solely focused Spider-Man story, it's the opposite. But I won't deny that as soon as we were getting close to that release date, I was over the moon excited for this movie. As I cannot, deny how, my intrigue of how these other characters were gonna appear and how they're gonna work in this movie. But also being with my friends and enjoying this together and dying over this film, I just couldn't wait to have that experience. I was both excited and nervous about this movie. So how did it go for me? Spoilers abound, because yes, we're gonna delve deeper in this movie. It's kind of hard to have to, so you've been warned. If you've not seen this movie, or if you don't care, whatever, just making you know that we're going deep into spoilers. I will say, this movie started perfectly. I did not expect the film to start immediately where we left off, and it was done in an incredible way where we kind of see the tension of, the reveal, how people were reacting towards it. Some people are sad to get MJ as his girlfriend, while some people don't like him because some people believe that what Mysterio said about him is true. I felt that tension tightening up in that entire sequence, and it was just handled beautifully. I also love seeing where some things left off, confirming that Happy and Aunt May were a thing, although you kind of knew it already from the last movie. But sad to see that May wanted to end things with Happy, and Happy's not happy. And that whole almost one-take sequence with Peter and MJ riding to their apartment was just intense as well, as we can feel the world falling over him. Excellently done, and only just in these few minutes, I'm feeling the direction from John Watts that I haven't felt in these previous films. Not that tension hasn't been there before. I mean, who could forget that scene between Adrian Toomes and Peter Parker, when Adrian found out about his identity? It has been very impressive, but I haven't felt it as deep level as I'm feeling it right now in this movie. Then I love seeing the repercussions of the reveal and how it's affecting his private life, which isn't so private anymore. Flash isn't a twerp to him anymore, which I also would have loved to see more of his personal life, which was kind of teased and mentioned in the previous two films. The school mostly loves him except for the coach, and the people closest to him are being chased by reporters and being interrogated by investigators just by aiding him. Which I did love that one point that one detective brought up about Aunt May just letting Peter be Spider-Man. I just love seeing how this new life kind of turned out to be. While I'm also thinking, is this how the new MCU Spider-Man's life gonna be from now on? Since he's so far the only hero with a secret identity, maybe no one in his universe will have a secret identity. Seeing how his life is being affected by this, that they can't even let him just live in his apartment in peace. Or his friends not even being accepted by MIT just because they're acquainted with him. Quick side note, was the court trial, this process of this whole court trial, were they letting him be, roaming off by himself without a problem? It's just throwing that out there because if he was a murderer, it'd be very reckless if they just let him be out there doing this whole process. I mean, come on. But I guess that's a criminal justice for you. And yes, seeing Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock again was incredible. And that's actually the first one that people in the audience cheered and clapped because they were like, oh my god, it's Matt Murdock. And he was so awesome. And him catching that brick was super cool. But my question now is he from the Netflix world, or is he like a different new version? Which if he is from the Netflix world, then that makes the continuity very confusing because they kind of are very disconnected from the movies in a way, in some parts. I guess we shall find out with time. I also love seeing the Stark bunker / apartment, which we've never seen before till this point. Wouldn't it cool to see how Pepper Potts was being affected by this whole controversy with even, how it's affecting Stark Industries. And I will say that Peter and MJ have a super cute relationship here. Maybe a lot of it has to do with real life, kind of how it worked out with Andrew and Emma Stone in their movies. But they were great together and their chemistry is off the charts. A friend of mine was kind of telling me how he believed that MJ was not contributing anything to the team, but I countered that she definitely did. She was helping the team with bringing support, bringing ideas, and keeping things afloat. She wasn't overbearing like other partner characters. She had the right balance of being there for him, but also helping out. Ned was also a great addition with him helping out the team. Also, does he have some sorcery stuff in him? Because that was some cool stuff. The trio in this movie was wonderful. So of course, Peter being Peter, he had a humble and positive idea of helping his friends out by seeking out Strange and finding a way if he can help his problem. I love seeing Doctor Strange in this movie, and I was glad he wasn't another mentor, but just an acquaintance that's there to tell him what's good and what's stupid. His chemistry with Peter was just great to see. As we know, not everything goes right. Or it didn't seem like things were going right, as Doctor Strange told him, like, hey, you can just plead to MIT, just plead your case with them and you'll probably be fine. Which that was funny, and, as we can see, chaos ensues. That sequence with Doc Ock was really awesome. Great choreography and inventive ideas on how to use the Iron Spider's arms against Doc Ock's arms. Great stuff. But my mind was racing during the sequence, asking myself, how the hell is he here? Isn't he dead? And that's not the suit or hair that he had in the movie. Which that's never explained, by the way. And I also love how the nanotech controlled his legs. Again, super inventive stuff. I felt this creativity covering almost all the bases of the entire film. And seeing Green Goblin again, what? I will say the suit didn't look that good. It looked kind of cheap looking, but it was still cool. So now we're in a chase for multiversal characters. The Lizard for Amazing Spider-Man 1 is already in the Sanctum, which is great. The effects for the Lizard didn't look too good in the first half in some scenes, or in many scenes. It's kind of like they saved the budget for the third act. It's like, alright, well, we can't invest too much on this right now, but let's save it up for when it's, the best, I guess. But I would have loved if they invested more on those scenes that he's just there. It was also weird how he wasn't speaking for a lot of times in the first act, and then he just started speaking out of nowhere. It's weird. But I love the hunt for these other characters, like seeing Electro again. No idea I would like to see him again. And I did not expect to see Sandman back. So cool still seeing the continuity of him still being a good guy. Also weird that they kept him in Santa form for most of the movie, with Tatiana Church appearing only in the third act. I don't know, maybe he couldn't be in the set for most of it, I don't know, and they just decided to voice cast him, I don't know. It was weird. It was awesome nonetheless. That fight with Electro could have been a little better. It could have been much better, but I think they kind of saved it up a little bit more, kind of saved it with a third act. It wasn't still the greatest thing, but I guess they kind of made it up for this one. Seeing Willem Dafoe's Norman Osborn is awesome, and I kind of love that he confirmed that Oscar doesn't exist in the MCU, which is interesting. What I love about this film is how they covered a lot of things that would make me question. It's like, I would have, no, we got this. No, we got this. I'm like, I love it. Things that I would question myself, the movie already covered it for me. At least for like 98% of it. Like for example, like how would Octavius and Osborn communicate? Like how would that interaction look like? Because we know from the movies that they knew each other, but we never seen them together in film. Like after Octavius' transformation, like how would he react seeing Osborn again, especially since Osborn died, and how would Osborn react seeing Dr. Octavius with the legs? Like, what would be those reactions there? Or like, what would be the interaction? And Sandman confirming that Octavius died, it's cool. I love that he brought a lot of details in there. And also seeing like how these villains will interact with each other, especially villains from these other movies, like how will they interact with each other. I love that detail. Like they were really attentive to detail, so I really appreciate that. And seeing this current Spider-Man fighting these other villains was awesome, and seeing their reactions to who this Spider-Man is that's not their Peter Parker is also cool. It's just made me explode with geekness. So now the question is, the rest of the things that happen throughout this movie, whose fault is it? You could say it's Peter, because he was the one that decided to give these villains a chance. But I'd say that it was actually Aunt May all along, because she was the one who brought up the idea. So if it wasn't for her idea, none of this would have happened. But I did like the idea of these people just, these two people specifically, being just these good and honest people that are there to want to give people a second chance. So I like the purpose that he sought after, but holy shit, that Doctor Strange and Spider-Man fight, holy shit. I never expected to see this, and it was glorious. I love how they showed how Spider-Man, he can handle himself and is smart in a fight. He's an incredible, formidable opponent. And you can say that, maybe the first movies, is him trying to get there, trying to grow as a fighter, which, that makes sense. But I love that now, finally, we were kind of seeing him just being smart and know what to do. Like, he's very good. And the tension here was great, too. The middle part of this movie is where it got a little bit boring for me. Seeing him work with other villains was cool in concept and interesting, but it kind of halted the steam for me a little bit. This is when I decided to take a quick as fuck pee break and come back. It was cool to listen to Electro talk about his desires, talking with Flint Marko, especially him wanting the arc reactor, which that's so fucking awesome. Which also shows that Max is the most conniving out of everyone, kinda. But I really wanted to skip the sequence and just move on. Let's just go. Let's move on. Doc Ock being cured was nice to see, and it's also a pleasant surprise to have nice Dr. Octavius come back. That's super awesome. Once shit hit the fan, it still was kind of meh for me. Some cool little fights here and there, but it didn't really grab me, especially Aunt May's death. Her finally delivering the "with great power comes great responsibility" speech was a final sigh of relief, like, about time. But bringing it that moment was just kind of forced and just whack for me.
Whack.
Although one of my best friends sitting next to me was crying his eyes out in disbelief with the scene, seeing her dying, I particularly felt nothing for it. Tom Holland gave a good performance in that scene, and Marissa Tomei did good too, but I just didn't care. This Aunt May was fun to have around sometimes, especially in this movie, contributing and helping it out whenever she can. But in previous films, she was just hot Aunt May, and not much to it. There wasn't that emotional weight that gives her moral support for Peter. There's no personal connection with her, no personal story with her, except that she ran Feast and had a thing with Happy. Not that the other Aunt Mays had a thing either, but at least with them, I felt some connection. I felt like that weight, that emotional weight was there, and that support was there. With her, it was just, I'm just hot, and, well, I'll do some things, some funny little things. That's it. This movie's like kind of, we see more of that support and that assistance she does to him, but it just wasn't enough. So I'm sorry, but this wasn't a Spider-Man death that got me. Cool seeing S.H.I.E.L.D. there trying to arrest him, and there's some good emotional cues there, but his entire middle sequence, which just wasn't doing it for me. Not that it was terrible either, it was just okay. It was kind of worrying me of how this rest of the movie was gonna look like for me. Like, am I gonna like what's gonna happen? Am I gonna be excited? We'll see. But oh shit, that it got me again. Let's just get to it. The OG Spider-Mans are in this fucking film. The audience lost it. It was great. Once Doctor Strange said that, once the rocks break, the other Spider-Mans will probably be in this universe, it already kind of hit at me that, yeah, they would definitely show up. I mean, the leaks didn't help either. I was also hoping that, maybe those are fake. I don't know, maybe they're not real. But still, seeing them there was a pleasant surprise, and it was awesome. It was so cool. Seeing Andrew Garfield in his Amazing Spider-Man 2 outfit was awesome. And although he looked initially like Andrew didn't want to be there because he didn't shave and like long hair, he completely proved me wrong. Having some quick time alone with him was cool, but then Toby? Oh yeah! I was worried that he didn't want to be in this movie, and although some might think that he wasn't, or didn't really want to be there, I think his performance proved that he did. He looked like a seasoned veteran that, like someone said on Facebook, was content with his life. If you think about it, he's one of the Spider-Mans that had probably one of the best conclusions out of the three so far. I mean, Tom Holland's still, we'll see how that goes, but at least Tobey's the one that has like the most happiest conclusion. I mean, and your girlfriend, damn. Although he did say his relationship with MJ is complicated, but then later on he did say that it worked out. Just seeing the two of them confront each other was awesome. That initial meeting with MJ and Ned and his grandmother, which was cool to see Ned's family, was super cool, funny, and very well written. And to think that they would exceed my expectations by thinking they would only show at the end to find out was it was beautiful. There's more than just what I thought it was gonna be. Seeing the intricate details of their characters and their stories, like them mentioning that MCU Spidey would have a place for him to meditate and be by himself and think, with Tobey and Andrew mentioning their places to meditate and think, and actually comparing their places and how this other place is cool, it's so cool. From them talking about Uncle Ben, which is weird that, it kind of seemed like, it's still the MCU Spider-Man, he can't mention Uncle Ben at all. He had to it's almost like he legally cannot say that name. He was like, I want to say something, I can't say the name. But hearing the OG Spider-Man's talking about him, the responsibility speech, just seeing them have a heartfelt conversation, Spider-Man's friends being there and helping him and consoling him, them working together to build the cures, then talking about their webbings, Tobey being a more sanitized but kind of the older brother of these two was great. Andrew feeling that he's like the most lamest Spider-Man out of the three was kind of ballsy to write, but many have felt that way. But Tobey reassured that he's amazing. It was beautiful. Doing the meme scene, everything with these three was spectacular. All of the bases and details were covered. Tom Holland sometimes didn't share as much scene with the other two as kind of like the other two shared scenes with each other, just by the two themselves, which I love. Tobey and Andrew's chemistry together, kind of Tobey as the older brother and Andrew being like the middle brother there. Seeing that relationship was great, but just even Tom just interacting with the two of them was great as well. I guess they don't want to leave his friends out of the picture completely, which is good. I like that. And still give Tom the face of the movie because, it is his movie, but also gave time to flesh out these other Spider-Men, especially Andrew, which I think they did a fantastic job. And so the third act was incredible. The initial fights were awesome. Seeing them both together was nerdgasmic. A lot of fan service here, especially Andrew saving MJ, but was still beautiful because of Andrew's performance. It's a lot of fan service, which was necessary. I think they did good without it feeling cheap. Then once the shit really hit the fan with the multiverse about to break, which is some of you guys can confirm who one of these figures were. I think some of my friends recognized it was Rhino. I think I recognized Kraven, the one with the spear. It kind of looked like M'Baku, but I'm like, why would that be M'Baku? I don't know. I think the person next to him was Storm. I have no idea. Confirm to me who you guys think these were, because it's hard to notice. It was quick. But once that happened, the movie got more tense-filled, but it was beautiful. These heartbreaking moments that felt like I'm watching a Spider-Man movie. This is what I've been waiting to see. Green Goblin being the ultimate villain wasn't something I was expecting or wanted to happen. I guess the OG villain, the first villain, is the superior villain, but it was fine. I just wanted somebody else being all over them. They kind of have to fight together or something like that. But it's okay. It's not really a detractor of the film for me. And that fight was brutal. Kind of like what Tobey and Andrew said to him. Tom hasn't faced a complete dark moment yet, which Aunt May's death made him go completely berserk on him and wanted to kill him right there, which I'm glad he didn't, because he's not a murderer, but I did love seeing him be vulnerable. And then Tobey going there to stop him? And then get stabbed for a kind of cheap, is he gonna die moment, but not really. Which I won't lie, it made me really nervous. I'm like, are they really gonna do this right now? But I'm glad he didn't. Also thought he stabbed Norman in the neck, which that would have pissed me off. Because I'm like, come on, he's not a murderer. We're gonna just accept that he's gonna do this, then he did that. But I'm glad he didn't do that. It was just a cure. And the final conclusion of him deciding to erase everyone's memory, basically wiping his existence from everybody except, Spider-Man's, I guess, is heartbreaking. I'm kind of curious and mixed to see what the future of this franchise holds, what's gonna happen. And when I say mixed, I mean I'm not sure how this is gonna work. Kind of found it dumb that Peter wouldn't tell MJ, what happened, especially when he promised her that he would. But I guess it makes for good drama, especially when his best friend doesn't even know who he is either. I guess we wanted to let them be happy and not be trolled by, because who he is, Spider-Man, trying to leave him live a peaceful life. But this is also the Spider-Man that I wanted to see. A broken down man who lives in a shitty apartment by himself, made his own costume, and hopefully there's no tech involved. Except, you know, some little gadgets, but not Stark level shit like in the first movie, the second movie. I just wanted to be with MJ Ned again, and the ending was beautiful. Oh, and the new suit is also beautiful. It looks awesome. It looks classic. It looks great. It doesn't look like it's tech-filled. It just looks classic Spider-Man suit. It looks awesome. Seeing Tobey and Andrew go back to the universes was great. And Andrew, just like Tobey said, you'll find your girl soon. This was all great stuff. Post-credit scenes. Seeing Venom, whatever. He was only there to give Symbiote away, and that was it. And just to take him back to his Sony world, even though they kind of teased like he would be seeing Spider-Man, but like, nope. And then a cool trailer for Doctor Strange 2, which does look cool and does look pretty dark. I kind of can't wait to see the movie. So yeah, this movie ruled, okay? It blew me away and exceeded many of my expectations. It covered a lot of ground and balanced it in a way that it didn't feel overstuffed or overblown, and still give our original characters a huge focus, while also making other characters actual characters and not just cameos. A lot of things were taken with time and as much care as was needed, and fixing things I did not like about this Spider-Man. He's actually very smart and savvy here. The cast was great, the writing was fantastic, and the direction was a great change that I adored. The middle sequence in the second act was a little boring for me, and it's not bad at all. But some effects of some green screen was noticeable, but nothing that would completely deter my experience from this movie. Overall, this is a fantastic piece of film, and something that made many people like me happy. Hopefully we can have the OG Spider-Man show up again pretty soon. J. Jonah Jameson is also great to see, I will say that. I'm excited for the future of Spider-Man. Hopefully this is what I've been waiting to see for this Spider-Man. I give this movie a very complicated score of 9.75 out of 10. Almost a masterpiece, but this is still a fantastic, spectacular film. What do you guys think? There's a lot of questions to ask. Like, for example, is Nick Fury in the Guardians of the Galaxy affected by the spell? Does it only cover the Earth? Does it cover the entire universe? I don't know. Would it be cool if Nick Fury came back and be like, Parker, what's up? And he's like, what? You know who I am? What the hell? I don't know. What do you guys think? What are your theories for the future of Spider-Man? What do you guys want to see? But let me know about your theories, and let me know what you think about this film overall. Let's talk about it. And if you like this review, please give it a like, share, subscribe for many other reviews, podcasts, reactions, other different things, music-wise, TV-wise, movie-wise, whatever you want, it's gonna be here, or I'm gonna do it. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate the support you guys are giving me. This is fantastic stuff. There's a lot more things to do. So I appreciate the support you guys are giving me. My name is Seba Reviews. Y yo soy aquí hablando shit.
You'll find a Spider-Man.